Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure y'all hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody who is in the building. It's good to see each and every one of you all. I'm glad that you all can make it. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji. If you guys cannot hear me, give me a thumbs down or an angry face. And I'm going to shout out everybody who's in the building early. All right. We got Denise Scales on the replay gang. Shout out to the replay gang. We got Brooklyn Queen 125, Replay Gang. Shout out to the Replay Gang. We got Volvo to Love in the building, and we got my man Carlton Wade in the house. All right, shout out to y'all. It is good to see y'all. All right, to the Replay Gang. If y'all watching on the Replay Gang, make sure y'all comment hashtag Replay Gang. Let's get it cracking. My man Jay Bird is in the building. Shout out to you, bro. And we got DC Precise in the house. So, and shout out to Caldona. What's good with it? B1. So, what we about to talk about is Anthony Blinken's visit to Mexico. All right, which you guys already know had little to no results. Of course, nothing got done. No strategy about how they're going to take care of this giant migrant caravan that's on the way to the United States. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. What's good with it, bro? Now, I had an article that I had planned on sharing with you guys, and this article was about a joint effort between Denver, New York City, and Chicago in calling for a national immigration strategy. But I'm having trouble opening that article. So I'm not going to be able to talk about that article today. Hopefully, I'll be able to get it together at least by tomorrow, and we'll be able to talk about it tomorrow. But I can't get it open today for some reason. All right. So my apologies to you guys on that. But I got some good content for y'all as far as this migrant crisis goes. Shout out to Patricia Slade. What's good with it? So let's check this out. Anthony Blinken to visit Mexico as massive migrant caravan inches towards the United States. Now, if it's only inching towards the United States, you would think that they could do something about it. You'd think that they could do something about it. But now here goes my thing. They're not going to do anything about it, and they're not going to do anything about it on purpose. Now, if all of these migrant caravans see that they're able to easily get into the United States without much resistance, without much pushback, do you think that's going to deter these type of caravans from pushing forward into the United States? Or is this encouraging these kind of caravans to push forward into the United States? If you ask me, every action that has been done in regards to the migrant crisis is only encouraging migrants to continue storming the border. They haven't made any assertive action that would deter migrants from moving towards the border, because there have not been any consequences. And ultimately, once these people reach the border, whether they do it through a legal means or an illegal means, they're still getting what they want once they get to the border, which is being released into the country. That's the whole purpose, okay? U.S. Secretary of State Anthony J. Blinken is set to visit Mexico City on Wednesday to discuss the recent surge in illegal immigration as a migrant caravan said to number thousands of people inches towards the border. Blinken, who is 61, will meet with Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador alongside Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and White House Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall. Ahead of the meeting, Homeland Security officials have debated ways Mexico can help lower the numbers at the U.S. southern border, including controlling the railways that migrants use to travel north, moving migrants south, and providing incentives not to journey to the border, CNN reported. The gathering comes as President Biden has faced increased pressure from both Republicans and his own party over the crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, what I find interesting about this entire situation is that Joe Biden is just completely ignoring the situation. He's just completely ignoring the situation. He's not even trying to address anything. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, oh, well, this is going on, and that's just that. Earlier this month, the White House failed to clinch billions of dollars in aid for Ukraine, Israel, and the border when leaders became unable to reach a consensus over border policy changes, CNN reported. Blinken's trip to Mexico also coincides with the movement of a massive migrant caravan, the largest in over a year, making its way north. All right. Now, here goes my question. How many caravans have you heard about coming to the United States in the past? Have you ever heard of one of these caravans coming? Because these kind of caravans have been coming to the United States for a long time. There was caravans that were coming to the United States during Trump's presidency. But that was before it was cool to, pay attention to this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So my question is, what happens to these caravans once they reach the Mexico border? Because if you pay very close attention, and I want y'all to do some research on this, do research on migrant caravans approaching U.S.-Mexico border. The only news coverage that you will hear about when it comes to these migrant caravans is them approaching. Once they've actually made it, you don't hear anything else. Why is that? That's the question. Why is that? At least 8,000 asylum seekers, mostly from Cuba, Haiti, and Honduras, set off for the U.S. on Sunday. The numbers may swell to 15,000 people, migrants' rights activist Luis Garcia Villagrán cautioned. There have also been more than 730,000 migrant encounters at the U.S. southern border since October 1st, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol sources said. 730,000 encounters. That is a lot. There have also been days in December alone when Border Patrol met over 10,000 people at the border, the New York Times reported. Last week, Blinken called Lopez Orbiter to discuss the worsening condition at the border, CNN said. The two leaders came away from the call agreeing that additional enforcement was urgently needed so that key ports of entry were previously shut and they could be reopened, the outlet explained. The U.S. typically relies on Mexico to reduce the number of southern migrants, but the Mexicans still have a relatively limited capacity, former U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Earl Anthony Wayne, told CNN. Their immigration force is underfunded and small, so they use the National Guard occasionally to stop people, but that's only good for stopping people for short periods of time and hasn't seemed to hold up very well. And you still have networks of smugglers, he explained. Now, what I find interesting about this is that when Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden and all these people get together to talk about this kind of stuff, that's literally all they do is talk about this kind of stuff. When is the last time that you've heard about one of these type of meetings and solutions have actually came about? Yeah, facts. Cloward and Piven strategy in full effects. Big facts, Lois Guy 9. When have any solutions come from any of these talks that any of these people have ever had? When have any improvement ever come? You know what I'm saying? So let's take a listen to this. Biden's immigration problems grow with caravan headlines. Now, when they say Biden's immigration problems grow with caravan headlines, what does that translate to? That translates directly to his momentum when it comes to the 2024 election, if you ask me.
Increasingly pressing President Biden and the federal Democratic mayors are increasingly pressing President Biden and the federal government for help on immigration. New York City Mayor Eric Adams told reporters that the Big Apple needs much more federal help to deal with the massive influx of migrants coming to the city. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott has aggressively sought to slow down the influx of migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border through his state, including busing an estimated 80,000 migrants to other states since last year.
We cannot allow buses with people needing our help to arrive without warning at any hour of day and night.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Mexico meeting with Mexico.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 18 people watching and we got 19 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 25, that'd be great.
President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador to discuss ways to stop the border crisis. Here with the latest is the Hill's Rafael Bernal. Rafael, thanks for joining us. Democratic mayors now, like Eric Adams from New York City, they're urging President Biden to do more on immigration. But what more can he do?
Well, he could coordinate, for starters. I think that's the big demand that they've had. And really what's surprising is that it's taken the mayors so long both to ask for something that's specific, just coordinate, tell us when people are coming so we can make plans and give us funding, of course. There's always funding. And to take action against the busing from Greg Abbott. I think a lot of immigrant advocates will approve of what Eric Adams is doing and really really just asking for a little.
Now, we know that the immigrant advocates don't approve of what Eric Adams is doing. All of the Democrat media wrote hit pieces on Eric Adams. So we all know that these immigrant advocates do not support Eric Adams. The only thing that these immigrant advocates support is their objectives getting complete. They don't support Eric Adams. They don't support anybody. The only thing that they support is us assisting people to come to the country illegally to help bolster their numbers so that they can use quantitative easing and population numbers as a means to control the United States and fundamentally change it to where it favors them. That's what's going on right now.
Coordination, knowing when the buses are coming, making sure they show up in daylight hours, just very basic things that hurt Greg Abbott's the political benefits he gets from this program, and help them actually coordinate the migrants arriving to their cities.
Well, put the border crossings in perspective for us, because we hear all of these numbers, 80,000, nearly 500,000 who have been placed back to their country of origin by immigration officials. So how much of an increase are we seeing, are we witnessing? Where does this compare with years past? And what's the forecast for next year?
So 16 of the last 24 months, we have seen more than 200,000 encounters between Customs and Border Protection and migrants without prior authorization, whether they're just like trying to cross and sneak into the country, or like the majority cross and request asylum at either a port of entry or between ports of entry. That number, it really is a lot. It reflects a very large movement of people. It reflects a big change in how migrants can get to the United States and where they're coming from. First, the migrants were mostly from Mexico for many decades. Then Central.
Look at all of these people crossing this bridge. Look at all of those people crossing that bridge. That looks crazy.
America and around the Obama administration, and over the past 10 years, we've seen a steadier flow. So it is a very large migration phenomenon. There's no doubt about that, and there's full agreement on that. Now, the other point is, are 200,000 people a month or 200,000 encounters a month more than the United States can handle? And that question obviously is debated. It is currently more than the Border Patrol can handle in terms of just processing these people, and that's part of why President Biden wanted more funding in a supplemental that ultimately didn't happen. But the U.S. economy is also demanding more workers. So that question's up in the air. But without coordination, it's really difficult to answer the what happens the day after they come question.
Well, and now, according to the Democratic mayors, it's not up in the air. You have Mayor Adams, you have the leaders of these major Democratic cities who are saying that the federal government has to do more, that the commander-in-chief has to do more on immigration. And when you look at the politics of this, polls suggest, and I was just in the Decision-24 crosstabs, polls are suggesting now there has been a seismic shift in terms of public sentiment on immigration particularly amongst moderate voters from the.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why do you all think that there's been this shift in public sentiment on immigration? If you ask me, the reason why there's been this seismic shift is because all of these naive liberals who live in these metropolitan areas, who live in these blue cities, now with all of America's largest cities, for the most part, being fundamentally changed, and one could go as far as to say destroyed right in front of everybody's eyes, it is now, which it always should have been, undeniable. It is undeniable the negative effect that immigration has when it's uncontrolled. And I think that that has actually been a wake-up call to people. And as a result of that being a wake-up call to people, people are like, hold on, we can't take this. This isn't going to work. This is unsustainable. We got to have something to reverse course on this. But it could possibly be too late.
From the summer of 2015, when we first heard Trump say, build a wall, to where we are now. So what impact politically is this having on moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans, Raphael?
You're exactly right. It's moving a lot of moderate voters. It's turning them off from immigration, people who would normally welcome migrants. But it's really that chaos at the border, the lack of resources, the chaos after the border in the way migrants are distributed through the United States. There simply doesn't seem to be a plan. There really isn't a plan that's being affected. And you're right, the political consequences aren't good for President Biden, aren't good for Democrats, and they're terrible for migrants who, under other circumstances, might come here and might be welcome.
When he says under other circumstances might come here, is he talking about the ones that come legally?
To receive a job or just receive safety of being in the United States, and now we're sort of embroiled in probably the biggest political fight that we're going to see coming up to 2024.
One word answer, yes or no, before I let you go. Congress will enact major immigration reform legislation in calendar year 24.
No, probably.
There you have it.
All right, so now here's my question. Where was the coverage on the migrant crisis during C-19? That's my question. That's the question. So now here it says they're back. A migrant caravan slowly making its way north from Mexico's border with Guatemala is taking center stage in the immigration debate as the Biden administration turns to Mexico for help reducing border crossings. The group of about 6,000 people took over immigration headlines that had been previously occupied by bipartisan Senate negotiations, but it's likely to produce similar results. The Senate talks to tie Ukraine aid to permanent border policy changes fizzled out as the holiday approached and are unlikely to return to the limelight in January, when Congress will be under a deadline to keep the government open. Migrant caravans, say Customs and Border Protection officials, also tend to fizzle out. These reported caravans generally travel very slowly and often splinter before they make progress moving northbound towards the southwest border. Nevertheless, CBP will continue to monitor developments in coordination with our foreign and interagency counterparts, as we have with previous movements of migrants, said a CBP spokesperson in a statement. Nevertheless, news of the caravan has overshadowed a high-level visit to Mexico by Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and kept migration in the spotlight. And that's bad news for President Biden, whose two weakest issues heading into the 2024 re-election campaign are his age and border security. Now, I think we might have to ask some serious questions if Joe Biden wins this next election. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says the white liberals are scared of the migrants coming to their windows at night. Facts. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. the freaks come out at night. They're gonna be mad as hell. Oh my God, honey, what was that? You know what I'm saying? And you know how them liberals be. You know how them liberals be. When you say, oh my God, honey, what was that? It's not actually gonna be a female. It's gonna be some hairy dude named Bob in the bed, hugged up next to him. He'll be like, I don't know, babe. Oh man, them migrants about to be at the door, like, who's that peeking in my window? Pal. Migrants now. Oh man, that's terrible, man. Terrible. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, but it also underscores how deeply politicized migration has become. News of caravans forming periodically surface in a negative light, though the caravans rarely have a tangible effect on border operations. Caravans are loosely enjoined groups of people who travel through Mexico together to minimize their exposure to criminals or corrupt officials. The caravans also serve a political purpose, giving organizers and migrants exposure for their cause. The latest caravan was dubbed an exodus from poverty by organizers seeking to avoid official retaliation for leaving the southern city of Tapachula without government consent. But with large numbers of migrants moving north within caravans or in smaller groups, the logistics of caravans become mostly irrelevant to border officials. How they get to the border if they enter illegally has no bearing on how they get processed, a CBP official told The Hill. Still, the exodus from poverty caravan dominated the issue as Mexican President Alejandro Manuel López Obrador hosted Blinken, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall to discuss how to address the mass movement of people through Mexico. López Obrador preemptively shut down the possibility of a law enforcement crackdown, though Mexico's National Guard, a militarized police force created by him, has focused its resources on migration rather than on criminal justice. Asked Wednesday morning whether U.S. officials had called on him to tighten Mexico's immigration controls, Obrador said no. No, because they know very well what our proposals are. We've always talked about addressing the root causes, that the ideal path is to help poor countries, he told reporters hours before his meeting with Blinken. Now, so to me, what this tells you is that Mexico has no interest in helping to secure the border. That's what this should tell you. You know what I'm saying? Though López Obrador has often made the case that migration can only be stemmed by addressing the root causes such as poverty, Mexican security forces have at times clashed with migrants, and his government played a key role in implementing the Trump administration's most stringent border patrols. Programs that require quick expulsion of third country nationals to Mexico, such as Title 42 or Remain in Mexico, need Mexico's acquiescence to work. Trump obtained that green light by threatening tariffs, a tactic unlikely to be taken by the Biden administration. But you see, it worked when Trump did it. Now, Trump said, I'm going to put some tariffs on y'all if y'all don't get this stuff together. And then they got it together. But Biden is old and weak, so he's not going to threaten anything. And Obrador is going to take advantage like what we're seeing. Right, exactly. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy says, so let me get this straight. If I rush Finland's border because I'm poor, I can just get in and get benefits. I don't think that will work like that for us. You know what I'm saying? That only the United States allows dumb stuff like that. And on top of it, those European countries, they're all moving in the same direction as everybody is here on immigration, especially a lot of those liberal Scandinavian countries that's come one, come all. They shutting it down. They not on it no more. Those liberal, nice Scandinavian countries where everybody's like, oh, welcome. You know what I'm saying? Now they're turning the block. They spinning the block, turning back to WS. Nah, don't come here. You know what I'm saying? They spinning the block. They not nice and welcoming no more. You know what I'm saying? They said, nah, not no more. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says that gives Lopez Obrador a wider berth in negotiations with the United States, even as CBP has closed key commercial border crossings, citing a lack of manpower to deal with migrants in commerce. The potential for economic hurt is asymmetric. Mexico is more dependent on U.S. commerce than vice versa, but prolonged border closures would hit key U.S. economic sectors, including agriculture and the auto industry. Those deep commercial ties force Mexico to the table, but Lopez Obrador's tactics are different towards Biden, who sees the border as a liability from what they were towards Trump, who saw it as his calling card. Though Lopez Obrador has been a willing partner in controversial bilateral border policies such as Title 42, his public-facing rhetoric priorities root causes over enforcement. And Lopez Obrador, who wants his party to remain in power after Mexico's 2024 presidential election, has found a useful public adversary in Republicans, from presidential candidates suggesting unilateral military action to Texas Governor Greg Abbott. They need to do more. They need to support more. And that's what the Congress should be proposing. With all due respect, how to authorize resources for the cooperation and support for the poor people of Latin America and the Caribbean, rather than imposing barriers, razor wire in the river, or thinking of building walls, said Lopez Obrador. So you already know what time Lopez Obrador is on. Lopez Obrador may as well be a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? And big facts, Deformed Pretty Boy. These companies are hiring people illegally. Not only are they hiring, they're hiring people illegally. Once they hire people illegally, they're telling those people to bring their friends. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if those people helped to organize things like the caravans. I wouldn't be surprised of it. You know what I'm saying? I would also not be surprised if those companies didn't have cartel connections either. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and absolutely, shout out to Dre D. Dre D says life insurance companies are making a killing off them. Right, facts. So let's check this out right here.
Crisis at the southern border could get worse. A large caravan of migrants from Central America and other countries is now making its way to the U.S.-Mexico border. Thousands of migrants are on their way to the border as we speak. The caravan comes to the U.S. recently. The Border Patrol had closed several border crossings due to a large surge last week. U.S. facilities aimed at housing migrants have now been overwhelmed by the numbers. Law enforcement along the border is desperate for federal assistance.
On the law enforcement side, we're suffering because we don't have the manpower to take care of what we call the local business, the criminal.
Now, people have been bringing this up, and this is a great question, so I'm going to bring it up again. All of those IRS agents that they've been hiring, instead of hiring IRS agents, why aren't they hiring Border Patrol agents? Why would you hire more IRS people and not hire more Border Patrol people when it's clear, it is blatantly clear, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that we need more Border Patrol people? That's the kind of backwards type logic, the type of nonsense that the Biden administration does. They don't do anything that makes sense, and they don't do anything with the intention on solving problems at all. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 23 people watching, and we got 21 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 30, that'd be great.
Elements, and then the immigration problem. So it's costing us a lot of manpower, and of course, the federal government and state troops too. You know, they're not here in the river like they're supposed to be. They're processing.
Customs and Border Protection says they need additional funding to help enforce consequences for those who cross illegally.
I think we haven't passed a significant immigration bill since Reagan's second term. And so this is not easy, but we're working hard to get an outcome because the country needs it, and the country needs it soon.
So little progress has been made on the issue this year, but now many are hoping it will be addressed by Congress in 2024. According to Congressman Tony Gonzalez, the surge of migrants is straining border communities, with residents now scrambling to find enough resources for themselves.
My district is 70% Hispanic, and this crisis is in our third year. I'm starting to hear from first and second generation Americans saying, I do not want these people in my country. I mean, it's absolutely turned upside down. Why? Because when they go to the grocery store, they can't get bread. When they call to go to the hospital, they can't get a bed. They're feeling further and further behind, not to mention the high-speed chases that are so dangerous. Our schools going into lockdown.
Border communities across Texas have been inundated with these things. This month, as many as 10,000 migrants were arrested per day at the southwest U.S. border.
So there's that.
Turning to the escalating crisis at our southern border, we now know U.S. and Mexican officials will meet again next month for further talks on the migrant surge. And this time, Mexican leaders will be traveling to Washington after Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas visited Mexico this week. Now, the White House is...
Hey, that's facts, man. Mitch McConnell was concentrating hard, wasn't he? Man, he was using all that brain power. You could see the steam coming out of the side of his ears.
is touting the meeting with the Mexican president as, quote, productive, but in a statement acknowledged there is more work to be done. The delegations will determine next steps at the January meeting. And in the meantime, migrants are crossing into the U.S. in record numbers. And the high number of migrant encounters is just a snapshot.
Record numbers. Record numbers. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. But December is on track to break records. Denver is on track to break the record of illegal migrant crossings. I mean, I think I said December, I should have said, not Denver. December. December is about to break the records. It hasn't done it yet. We got 2 days. And at 10,000 people per day, that record will more than likely be broken.
Of the worsening crisis we have witnessed this year. Our News Nation cameras have captured just how far people are willing to go to enter the U.S. We have seen cartel smugglers cutting the steel and forced concrete beams of the border wall, allowing migrants to cross between ports. And we've witnessed scenes of desperation, families with small children crossing the dangerous and too often deadly Rio Grande River. News Nation correspondent Allie Bradley has been on the ground for it all, and she says migrants say they all have the same hope: to live the American dream.
Tens of thousands of migrants cross the border each and every day.
Wanting to live the American dream, that is not something that you're allowed to seek asylum for. There's a strict criteria with guidelines of what you are allowed to seek asylum for. And the desire to live the American dream is not one of the approved asylum requirements. It's amazing how when we talk about this, when we discuss this, how the news just kind of leaves that little detail out.
From as far away as the Middle East, the African continent, South America, even China, fleeing conflicts, violence, and persecution.
Why did you decide to come to America?
Shout out to Shamika. What's good with it, Shamika?
They're risking life and limb to make the treacherous journey into the U.S. Each person with a different story, all with the same goal: to chase the American dream.
America is my dream.
I want to be successful, and I want to help people back home too.
America, a good country. I like this country. So if I did, you can bury me here.
But for many, that American fantasy often turning into a nightmare. News Nation was there in Eagle Pass, Texas, and captured the moment some of those asylum seekers arrived on dry land, some unresponsive, after enduring a harrowing journey and had to be revived using CPR. Hundreds of people are crossing over from Mexico, crossing the Rio Grande, and this morning what we're dealing with is thick, heavy fog. You can hear the people, but you can hardly even see them. That is just one of the elements that law enforcement on the front lines are dealing with every day out here. Border officials also dealing with a surge in migrant smuggling, so-called coyotes, preying on people's desperation, often charging thousands of dollars when they can't even guarantee safe passage. And that means
all they had to do was do the Flintstone to break the fence open. Look at that. All they had to do was do the Flintstone to break the fence open. Did y'all see that? They just got on top of the fence and started jumping. Do the Flintstone. Man, that's crazy, man. This is a crazy setup anyway. I don't know who they think these 2050 high-tech zip ties is going to stop from coming into the country. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Dealing with a surge in migrant smuggling, so-called coyotes, preying on people's desperation.
Like, you cannot make this up. This is insanity. This is ridiculous. This is a joke.
Called coyotes, preying on people's desperation. Often.
You can't make this up, man. This is what our tax dollars are buying these shoestrings that they use at the southern border to keep migrants out. Man, this is crazy.
Preying on people's desperation, often charging thousands of dollars when they can't even guarantee safe passage. And that means scenes like these. Caught on camera of a mother carrying her crying child, a piece of cardboard shielding her from barbed wire, and finding inventive ways to scale what looks like an impenetrable border wall. Our cameras were rolling as a smuggler.
That wall did not look impenetrable, and whoever this was, it looked like they are expert at parkour. That wall don't look like it's giving that person a hard time at all. Do it. Look.
To scale what looks like an impenetrable border wall. Our cameras were rolling.
They got they got the bungee cord set up and all that. These are experts that are breaking through the border. These are experts. They got a bungee cord set up. She climbing that wall like she's Spider-Man.
What looks like an impenetrable border wall. Our cameras were rolling as a smuggler, using a system of ropes, hoists a migrant up and over the fence. Border Patrol also telling me coyotes are offering migrants so-called survival kits.
They on some Mission Impossible. Look at this person running through here. They climbing that wall like Ninja Gaiden, climbing that wall like Shinobi. Oh man. Are we sure that these are just migrants? Are we sure? Look at this. Look at these skills. Look at this. Look at these skill sets right here.
Carrying her crying child, a piece of cardboard shielding her from barbed wire, and finding inventive ways to scale what looks like an impenetrable.
Man, do you see how she looked? Have you ever seen those walls at the CrossFit gym? Who's ever went to the CrossFit gym and climbed up them walls? She climbing up them walls like she on that CrossFit. You know what I'm saying?
Ways to scale what looks like an impenetrable border wall. Our cameras were rolling as a smuggler, using a system of ropes, hoists a migrant up and over the fence. Border Patrol also telling me coyotes are offering migrants so-called survival kits to help evade border agents. And
hey, it's nobody even around, and this person right here running for their life. Look.
So-called survival kits to help evade border agents and arrive in the U.S. undetected. So here's what you're going to see. You're going to see something like this. This is a shirt with some kind of hood. You also have a pair of pants here with just a simple drawstring that'll fit just about anybody. But here's the most interesting part. These are carpet booties, and these go right over any shoe that someone's wearing. And look at that. No tracks left behind. And once these migrants arrive on U.S. soil, it's not all smooth sailing. Border apprehensions are on the rise as migrants wait in droves to be processed. And that has border towns like El Paso reaching a breaking point. These people have decided not to self-surrender to Border Patrol agents. They do not have any release paperwork. So right now, this is what they're doing, is they are making a home on the streets here in El Paso, waiting for bus fare, waiting to get on one of these buses. But the stories you don't often see come from within Mexico, inside violent, crime-ridden neighborhoods where cartels battle for influence.
If you want to understand how dangerous it is here in Tijuana, one of the most violent cities in the whole world, look at the security detail that the mayor of Tijuana has to travel with.
Man, oh, wait a minute. What the hell?
Today, a warning to Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. In a letter obtained.
Hold on real quick.
By CBS.
Democratic mayors
are. Oh, man, you got to be kidding me. Hold on real quick. I swear to God, man, my computer is acting up. Hold on real quick. Okay, here we go. All right, hold on real quick. My bad, y'all. I had wanted to show y'all something. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Also, if you guys have not smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please make sure that you hit the bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right, sorry about that, guys. what I wanted to show y'all was the security detail right here that this guy is talking about.
The security detail.
Look at that. Look at this outside the store. They just chilling with the guns.
That the mayor of Tijuana has to.
Now you see that? They chilling with them guns. That dude with the sunglasses got the same gun as that one with the twins on the intro of the video. You got on the intro of Undocumented. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's twins with wearing a white suit. They holding the guns just like that. You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna show y'all real quick. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Right. Where is it at? Let me see. Hold on real quick. Let me see. Yeah, right there. That's it right there. Now look. See that? That's crazy.
Travel with multiple bodyguards as she's in the beauty salon, and down there, the Mexican National Guard, multi-vehicle caravan. It feels like the president is here.
And News Nation was there to document a father's desperate search for the remains of his lost son.
Mi motivación es buscar y encontrar a mi hijo Eli Carrillo.
We are in the rural areas of Rosarito here in Mexico on the Tijuana border, and we joined a volunteer group whose main goal is to find dead Mexican nationals who have been buried and have not been discovered.
As the sun sets on another day at the border with people carrying their hopes, dreams, and tragic circumstances, News Nation will be back in 2024 with more of the stories you care about amid ongoing efforts to solve a growing crisis.
Allie Bradley, thank you for that report. Much more news to come when we come back.
They need to start planting cactuses inside of those inside of the trenches by the Rio Grande. For real, for real. So let me see what we got next. So now that sheriff, I forget what his name is. He is saying that President Joe Biden completely dismantled the southern border. I agree with that. Democrat policies have completely destroyed any form of security that we have at the southern border.
Terrell County, Texas, that Cleveland. Terrell County has about 50 miles of shared border with Mexico, and Sheriff Cleveland is also a former Border Patrol agent. Sheriff Cleveland, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Smith. Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. Sheriff, border crossings have hit record levels with reports showing 10,000 migrants coming across in just one day, and a 2,000-person caravan moving its way up to the U.S. right now. How do you plan on handling that influx?
You know, and I'll be honest with you, regardless how many are going to come up in this next caravan, and of course, initially was reported as 8,000, it's kind of dropped, but we're so used to dealing with these continuing numbers that continue to reach higher levels. We're going to do what we do. We're going to help Border Patrol out here at the local level. We're going to continue to support our governor with resources he gives us, and we're just going to, one day at a time, and just, when you think it can't get any worse, it continues to. I'm almost speechless, to be honest.
Sheriff Cleveland, I can hear the frustration in your voice. I have to tell you this, though. One of the things that stood out at me, just before you came on, Tom Dempsey had a report that included a soundbite from Mayor Adams where he talked about you just can't have these people show up with buses arrive without warning. That's exactly what's happening to you.
Definitely, right here on the border. And I'll tell you what our governor has done by busing people to sanctuary cities, by flying people to sanctuary cities, they're feeling the pain that we felt for the last 3 years. And I'll tell you what, we're gonna have to suffer through this one more year. There's not going to be a fix. I'm optimistic with those talks that they had in Mexico yesterday.
Now, he says that we're going to have to, quote unquote, suffer through this for one more year. I disagree. I think that so much damage has been done. It doesn't matter whether Trump is the president or not. It doesn't matter. This is going to be an ongoing problem. And if you ask me, this is going to be a problem that puts so much stress and strain on the United States that this is going to be the start of the shift of extenuating circumstances that really cause fundamental change in the United States. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
I really am. But an old Border Patrol chief, Chief Aguilar, taught me years ago that hope's not a strategy. So we have to continue to be ready for what's coming at us next. We have to continue to be ready to protect and defend not just our borders, but our local citizens.
Sheriff Cleveland, hope is not a strategy, but you feel good about those talks yesterday. What message do you think it sends, though, that President Biden didn't make the trip to Mexico himself and instead sent Secretary of State Antony Blinken and other top-ranking officials?
You know, again, I'm going to remain optimistic, but to be honest, you know, look, we're in an election year. This whole mess has been created by policy. Look, it can be solved overnight. I've said that many times. All it takes is to bring back policies that work, to hold Mexico's feet to the fire. Mexico, they don't want anything to do with the border. They don't care about the U.S.
See, he's saying the exact same thing. Mexico, they totally don't care. As a matter of fact, literally, as soon as everybody left the meeting, the Mexican president and the Mexican politicians were probably cracking up laughing about this. They're probably cracking up laughing about how naive these American politicians are for actually thinking that Mexico is going to do anything to try to help the United States. They're not gonna. They don't care about this. The more migrants that are in the United States means the less that are in Mexico. And that is probably the way that Mexico is looking at this. So they don't care. They're not bothered by this. They're not going to help. And you can tell that they're not bothered by this and they're not going to help. And that they're on the side of Joe Biden because Joe Biden has the laxed policies. He's kind of doesn't have a backbone. You know what I'm saying?
Mexico border because people aren't staying in their country. They're coming to the United States. But what's important to them is obviously the trade and travel that happens between the two countries. So until we really get tough with Mexico, as President Trump did, and tell them we're going to hold you accountable, they're not going to do anything. But once we get a president in office who's going to really hold their feet to the fire, then we'll see a change.
Sheriff Cleveland, it is clear that a policy change is necessary. Two quick questions before I let you go. The mayors of New York, Chicago, and Denver once again asked for federal government to step in and provide help with the growing numbers of migrants being bused to their cities from the border. Sheriff Cleveland, I can tell you there's so many people in my own circle who became, oh, Nick, I didn't know there was a migrant problem. Well, clearly you haven't been down to the border. It seems as though these larger cities now having to deal with this are shining the spotlight on an issue you've had to deal with for years.
Forever. And I'll tell you what, I like to point back to when I first came in the Border Patrol in 1996. Look, I worked under 4 different presidential administrations, President Clinton to President Bush to President Obama to President Trump. All 4 of those administrations, they advanced the border security. They all built some sort of fencing. Yes, some more than others, but they all did the border security. What we have right now, we have a president that came in, we have his administration, the people that are really pulling the strings behind him, they have completely dismantled our border. The things that we put in progress, the infrastructure, the technology, they've demoralized our agents. You know, I still talk to them daily, to agents, friends across the border, and they truly are demoralized. But I tell you what, they're patriots. They go out there and they do the job they have to do every day, and we're gonna be here to support them any way we can.
Demoralized but proud of the job that they do. Our own Allie Bradley, who is at the border, constantly talks about the men and women who continue to show up every day trying to do the best that they can with limited resources. Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, good morning. God bless y'all. Thank you.
Same to you.
All right, so there's that. All right. So now next we're gonna listen to this little clip from Fox News where they're going in on your boy, hip hop mayor Eric Adams, because you know Eric Adams is doing that same thing that Brandon Johnson is doing. And Eric Adams is calling the buses rogue buses, and he's implementing punishments for buses that show up unannounced. Now, do you guys remember when I said that all of these cities are going to start sounding the same? They're going to start saying the same things. You guys remember that? Well, if you pay attention, now Brandon Johnson starting to sound like Eric Adams. Starting to sound like Eric Adams. And the reason why is because there is no hope in sight. Look at the title, Unsustainable, Finite Solutions and Resources for an Infinite Problem. You can put whatever spin on this that you want to. You can put whatever kind of partisan spin that you want to on this, but you cannot change the facts in a math problem. And in this math problem, the answer is you're doomed.
It baffles me. You know, New York City is the economic engine of the state and the country. and I don't have the answer. Cities should not be handling national problems. And so I don't have the real understanding of, I'm hoping that our national leaders understand that and come a real immigration reform, a decompression strategy, pick up the price tag of this issue.
Christidi CEO John Katzimatidis joins us now. John, it baffles him. I don't really think that it should baffle him, given what we're seeing. He could easily end our status as a sanctuary city, and people would know they wouldn't get free stuff if they came here, and then it might stop until the federal government does its comprehensive immigration reform. What do you think?
There is no sanctuary city. That's a made-up situation. And he stood there and welcomed everybody in. And he thought, well, let's welcome the people in. Maybe I'm going to run for president someday. And that's a situation like that. And when he decided to go to Washington meet the other 6 mayors to stir the pot, well, a funny thing happened to him on the way to Washington. As his plane was taking off, they were kicking him in the butt. Is that the nicest way I can say it?
Say that.
Saying that, see, why did you want to come to Washington and mess with our lives?
Right.
And but look, New York is under attack. Our country is under attack. Our borders are under attack. I mean, this is the worst situation. I'm 70 years old. This is the worst situation I've seen in 70 years.
But John, so Adams is going to D.C. and he's complaining about Biden, but at the same time, the city is issuing 50% more NYC IDs this year than last year. So you've got migrants coming. No surprise, these IDs are going out the door because your immigration status doesn't matter. So John,
why are they issuing IDs to migrants? And how are and even better question, how are they issuing IDs to migrants? And the migrants don't have any documents. What are they making? What information are they putting on the IDs? I want y'all to think about this. Let me know in the comment section. If you don't have any documents, then that means that there's no record of your information. So how are you verifying all of the information that's being put on the IDs? But when you or I go to get a driver's license or a state ID, we got to have a birth certificate and a social security card. But these people can get it without no documents.
he can't go to D.C. and complain about policy and at the same time be rolling out the red carpet to benefits and work permits with these IDs.
Right. Things are out of control.
Yeah.
They're out of control in New York City. They're out of control in Washington. And the American people have to realize.
This dude said, hey, listen here, Martin, the party's out of control. Gina, the party's out of control. In New York City, everybody up here is out of control. The whole freaking country's out of control, Jack.
Enough is enough. I mean, the borders, when you got people coming in from Africa, you can't feed the entire world.
Man, what is wrong with white people? We got to put the magnifying glass on the on white people. What is wrong with white people? Do you all see the allergic reaction to just black people breathing? There's migrants coming in from all over the place. But the biggest concern to this guy is the African ones. What is wrong? Every time this happens in the comment section, I want you guys to type in capital letters, what is wrong with white people? Okay?
World. You know, you have to know who's coming and going.
17 just came in on the terror watch list.
So
I know that.
I want to get to your feeding point, because one of the things that Adams talks about a lot is the cost to the city, because we're housing migrants, feeding them, educating, and healthcare. One way out is work permits. That's something that Adams has been pushing for. You employ a lot of people in New York City. Right now, there are 67,400 asylum seekers here in New York City. Should they all be working?
Here's the problem. How do I know if I'm hiring a murderer from Venezuela?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
And, you know, you need checks and balances. You know, Venezuela and some of these countries, they opened up their jails. They opened up their hospitals and said, go to New York. You know, they opened up their hospitals with all the gay people and said, New York has a cure for you. Go. I mean, it's just
what is
out of control. Look,
hey, wait, hold on. What is he? What is that he's talking? What? What the hell is this dude talking about? What is he talking about? Did y'all hear what he just said? What is he talking about?
New York has a cure for you. Go. said, New York has a cure for you. Go.
What the fuck is he talking about?
They opened up their hospitals with all the gay people.
Hey, what? What the hell is he talking about? What is he? What is this dude talking about?
Go to New York. You know, they opened up their hospitals with all the gay people and said, New York has a cure for you. Go. It's just
Who said that? Who said that? That's what I want to know. I want to know who said this. I want to know who said this and what they were talking about.
out of control. Look, we want to help the whole world, but we can't.
Well, we need to help ourselves first because we've got a lot of issues in our cities. Across
And he one of those old school racist New York people that he says "woiled." We gotta go help the whole world.
Country, New York City being one, where people who are American can't get the help they need, let alone the migrants that have come here. John, unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much.
It's getting worse, and people don't feel safe in our streets.
That's right.
Very
That
true.
is right.
Very true, John. Thanks for being here. Good to see you.
It baffles me.
Man, that's hilarious, man. I'm sorry, man, but that was funny as hell. All right, so we got your boy Brandon Johnson. The boy Brandon Johnson, he's crying. We're going to listen to Brandon Johnson cry for a little bit. Chicago mayor pleads for federal help as he sounds alarm on border crisis. The country is now at stake. That don't sound like Brandon Johnson. No. Brandon Johnson doesn't say stuff like that. Man, that's crazy. Yo, Deformed Pretty Boy, if you got any info, bro, on that, please shoot that to me on Twitter. Or if you're not in the Discord, bro, join the Discord and throw that in the Discord, because we definitely got to talk about that. Deformed Pretty Boy says, Rob, California just yesterday signed a bill to give illegals free healthcare benefits to the fullest. Now, American people need to start rushing the borders of these other countries where these illegals are coming from and demanding the same shit that America is giving them from our taxpayer dollars from those countries. I guarantee you those people would tear us up, delete us right as we come through. And the United States ain't going to do a damn thing about it neither, except for keep paying for these people. All right, let's see what they're talking about. They got your boy Pinhead on there. Brandon Johnson, he running scared these days.
Look, the technical support that we receive from the federal government, we appreciate that. Work authorization to put people on a pathway to sustainability, I certainly appreciate that. And without real significant investment from our federal government, it won't just be the city of Chicago that won't be able to maintain this mission. It's the entire country that is now at stake. But in no way what the state of Texas is doing is helping the cause. As much as we recognize that there are challenges, significant challenges at the border.
So I think it's interesting now how these Democrat city mayors are now talking about the border, because the border was never an issue before. It was never an issue. They were never talking about it. I think this is the most that I've ever heard Democrat mayors talk about the border. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson pleaded Wednesday for the federal government to take a bigger role in tackling the migrant crisis, warning that the Windy City and other parts of the United States are being overwhelmed now by new arrivals. So again, this is another self-fulfilling prophecy that we talked about. Now Brandon Johnson is saying the exact same thing as Mayor Eric Adams. Yeah, Deformed Pretty Boy, you can drop the you should have a wrench. The people with the wrenches can drop links, so you should be able to drop it in here. but I'm not able to pull the link through from StreamYards. So I had to get that link, and then I probably just set up another stream for it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you can go ahead and drop it here if you want to, bro. Man, that's crazy. Undocumented health insurance. Man, that shit sounds crazy. Unbelievable. Without real significant investment from our federal government, it won't just be the city of Chicago that won't be able to maintain this mission, Johnson told CNN. It's the entire country that is now at stake. So Brandon Johnson is taking it a little bit further than Eric Adams, because Eric Adams just said that the migrant crisis would destroy New York City. Effectively, Brandon Johnson is saying that this migrant crisis is going to tear up the whole United States. He said the entire country is at stake. Johnson, who is 47, explained that he's asked Biden administration to set aside $15 billion worth of resources to address the issue. Biden requested $13.6 billion for border security as part of a $106 billion supplemental aid package he unveiled in October that also included assistance for Ukraine, Israel, and negotiations over that legislation are currently stalled in Senate, with no vote prospect until after the new year, if ever. Think about this, man. Joe Biden is so uninterested in the United States, you have to beg and plead with him. You have to beg and plead with him to get him to do something to secure the country, while he wants to bend over backwards to secure Israel and to secure Ukraine. We have roughly 15,000 people living in shelters, temporary shelters here in Chicago, Johnson explained. Nearly 27 shelters total, and 4,500 children in our Chicago public school system providing health care, also making sure that we are screening individuals as they come through the city of Chicago, providing, again, on-site injectable immunities at all of our shelters. Now, he never said that before. He's saying that now since all of those people got sick, and he accidentally spilled the beans saying that they're coming over sick. And this certainly has been a remarkable challenge that my administration has had to face. In addition to more resources, Johnson said Wednesday more coordination was needed between cities, counties, states, and the federal government. Since taking office, we've had an uncoordinated approach, the mayor said. And what I've worked to do, instead of having chaos, is provide some structure and calm around the situation. And without significant federal support, this is not sustainable. Man. Now, why did it take them this long to come to this conclusion? How long ago did we come to this conclusion? How long ago was it that we came to this conclusion? We came to this conclusion before I even created this channel. We came to this conclusion back on Undocumented Bros on BLR. So now, if we can come up with these solutions, what's wrong with the government? Why is the staff of the federal government being paid all of this money and we're not getting paid anything, and we've come up with these solutions faster than they have? Think about that. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Carlton. We came up with these conclusions a long time ago. So now here it says, while Johnson did not mention President Biden, he did call out Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who has dispatched busloads of migrants from border regions to so-called sanctuary cities, including Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C. What Governor Abbott is doing Quite frankly, it's reckless, the mayor said. We recognize that there are challenges, significant challenges at the border, and we do need real substantive immigration reform and policies that allow us to have structure and a pathway to citizenship. So again, notice he's not focusing on border security. He's focusing on migrant processing. That's very important. But again, sending buses all over the state of Illinois and all over the country is reckless, and quite frankly, it's dangerous. In contrast to Johnson, New York City Mayor Eric Adams has emerged as one of Biden's loudest critics on the Democratic side over the migration surge. The federal government said to New York City, "We're not going to do our job. We're not going to do our job. You do our job. You take care of 4,000 people a week. Eric, you and your team." Adams lamented to reporters on Tuesday. Those who should have been helping us in government every step of the way, they just critiqued us, the mayor added. I'm not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel from the federal government. That's because there is no light at the end of the tunnel for you. There is no light at the end of the tunnel for you. Yeah, exactly. Facts. If you guys agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with Carlton, give me a thumbs down. Johnson didn't call out Biden because he saw what they did to Adams. Facts. Big facts. Over the past year and a half, more than 161,000 migrants have arrived in the Big Apple, according to city officials, including about 4,000 who arrived last week alone. More than 68,000 remain in city care, straining Gotham's finances. Since the start of September 2022, more than 20,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago, according to the city's Office of Emergency Management and Communications. During fiscal year 2023, which ended September 30th, more than 2.47 million encounters with migrants were reported along the U.S.-Mexico border. More than 242,000 asylum seekers were apprehended in November alone, according to data from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So yeah, all of the predictions that we've made, all of them are coming true to the T. They've all been coming true to the T. And the reason why they've been coming true to the T, because this is a math problem. This is a math problem, like we said, and it's only got one answer. It's only got one answer. And that answer is unsustainable. That's what the answer is. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please hit the bell and subscribe to the channel. And also, please share the stream to your social media.
Well, the migrant crisis is about to get even worse, if you can believe it. Since October, there have already been over 730,000 migrant encounters at the border. Right now, a caravan of at least 6,000 people are trudging towards the U.S. The illegal immigrants are demanding help from the Biden administration, making the harrowing trek over Christmas weekend.
They're demanding help. Nobody asked them to come. You know what I'm saying? Literally, you're coming somewhere uninvited. Nobody asked you to come, but you're demanding help along the way. Like, make it make sense. Somebody make that make sense. How does that work exactly? Like, literally nobody asked you to come. And nobody owes you any help. How do you just, and what's interesting about this, do you guys notice how nobody's really critiquing these people? There's no kind of critique for this whatsoever. Nobody's outraged that these people are asking for free handouts or whatever and all that. Nobody's really upset about the amount of money that's being spent, except for us. Now, I want you, again, the reason why I keep asking the question, what's wrong with white people, is because white people flip out like a gymnast. White people flip out like Simone Biles when they hear about us talking about reparations that we have not received yet. They even go to the extent of fabricating stories of us actually receiving reparations when it was actually their ancestors who received reparations for not having slaves anymore. But they're silent about their tax dollars being spent on these people who are breaking the law to come to the United States. What kind of sense does that make? I need a white person to explain to me what kind of sense that makes. And when you find out and speak that out loud and realize that it doesn't make any sense, I need you to go sit your ass down somewhere with a dunce hat on forever.
The President of the United States must help us, as we are migrants. In reality, some of us only go to the U.S. for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and then return to our country. For this reason, we demand that Joe Biden help us.
I was used to my
We demand that Joe Biden help us. You hear what this dude said? This dude looking like he looked like the Latino version of Bokeem Woodbine.
The President of the United States must help us, as we are migrants. In reality, some of us only go to the U.S. for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and then return to our country. For this reason, we demand that Joe Biden help us.
I was used to my Christmas dinner with the family, not spending it in the street as we did yesterday.
First Christmas that we spent away from home and not in the best way as we expected to give the best to our children.
All right, well, make demands, I guess. Sanctuary cities are also feeling the pressure. Almost 4,000 migrants in Denver are overwhelming shelters, with more busloads arriving in the city here in the last few days. Colorado Governor Jared Polis, well, he was blasted for not taking this issue seriously. Instead, he posted this video of himself dancing and laughing.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
This dude is a stereotypical white liberal.
Dancing and laughing.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
You can't make it up. You can't make it up. Why would you do that knowing that people have cameras? You can't make it up, man.
What kind of shit is that?
Oh, man.
Idiots! I'm surrounded by incompetent idiots!
Oh, man. What the hell? Man, somebody make it make sense.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Jessica, nobody loves Jose Feliciano more than I do.
Yeah, that's facts. Shout out to Abdul Khalifa. Abdul Khalifa says we need to start making money off this too now, as the anti-immigration security forces for hire. Bro, you already you see your boy made a YouTube channel, right?
Even when I say his name wrong. I love the song. He sold more albums than Mariah Carey. I saw him live with our very own Raymond Arroyo last week. But is that how you address this crisis that's happening right in front of us?
I don't think that that is his migrant crisis approach. I think that people are allowed, and yes, it's a little cringy, but they're allowed to post something on social media that has nothing to do with the real problems the city is facing. I understand if it's something that is affecting you personally, that might be aggravating to see. But Jared Polis is a complete success story. He has a 61% approval rating in the top 10 of governors across the country. And he's actually more libertarian than he is Democratic. I'd encourage everyone. He was on with Bill Maher and had a wonderful interview with him about it last year. So I think there's a place for this. Do I wish it had been better coordinated and look less awkward? 100%. But I don't think that it means that he's not serious about the border crisis. And he's spoken out about it, saying you can't not give us federal dollars if you want us to deal with thousands of people that are being shipped here, like Democratic mayors and governors are doing all over the country. So I'm pro-Polis.
I don't know. I got a lot of my neighbors are from Denver, and they couldn't get out of there quick enough a couple of years ago. So I don't know. Maybe he's doing a better job. Doctor, if we just want to go by the numbers, because you know numbers better than any of us. Okay, there's as many as 10,000 migrants arrested per day at the southwest border in the last week. So on top of that, there are 10,000 a day seeking asylum just coming in through Eagle Pass. It's hard to put our finger on the total number because the got-away number is a prediction or a guesstimation, but the numbers are unlike anything we've ever seen before. Our economy isn't doing all that well right now. Is this not, I mean, it's almost malpractice on behalf of the administration if they want to take care of these people.
Well, so first of all, we don't know the number of the gotaways, but the number we do know is the 2022-2023 fiscal years, over 2 million migrants did cross the southwest border. That's not even counting the people who have come in.
2 million migrants coming in is that is a huge amount. That is a huge amount. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to you guys. Make sure y'all smash that like button. If y'all haven't hit that bell and subscribe to the channel, don't be shy. Hit that bell and subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to that 500 mark. Definitely appreciate it. We got 33 people watching and 30 likes. If we can get those likes to 40, that'd be great.
And from our northern border, 250,000 just came in last month alone. And as we're talking about Denver, they just had 16 busloads of migrants being dropped off on their doorstep. I do think that the video...
Denver just had 16 busloads of migrants. I think that this stuff happens. This migrant stuff is going on, and it's happening so fast that the media can't even keep up with it. I actually follow a couple local media outlets of Denver, and I didn't even see anything about 16 busloads of migrants yet. I'm still getting stuff about the rerouting of that plane that was going to New York City that ended up getting diverted to Philadelphia. I didn't even catch anything about the 16 busloads that got dropped off in Denver. Did you guys hear about that? If you guys heard about those 16 buses that got dropped off in Denver, give me a thumbs up. If y'all didn't, give me a thumbs down. And yeah, I agree with you, pretty boy. Deformed pretty boy. It's more like 5 million. They lying about the numbers. Facts, especially because of the gotaways. They don't even do anything plus or minus for the gotaways. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Rob from Denver. So check this out, Deformed pretty boy. Rob from Denver says Colorado passed laws in 2021 and 2022 to give undocumented migrants state benefits and Medicaid access. In 1986, Ronald Reagan passed a law making it illegal for hospitals to turn away migrants. So they have one of those hospitality ordinances like how New York City does. I bet you they are feeling it now.
I think it's really bad timing. It's very cringeworthy. That gets added to, Jill Biden's taco comments, President Biden saying, well, you ain't black if you aren't for me. I mean, they are just so thirsty for the...
You ain't black.
This black-brown vote, and you're starting to see all of a sudden you're having more support for President Trump. The polls are showing when it comes to Hispanic, Latino, and black voters, and the reason is because of how they're handling the border and because of their economic policies, and people are hurting at home.
I agree with you. I come from a town that's 78% Hispanic right now, inside the city limits. I was talking about it this morning on Fox and Friends. I kind of had this epiphanal moment sitting there. It's like, you know what? They're my people. The people that came to Dalton, Georgia from mainly Mexico in the 90s and 2000s are a part of my family. They're the people I went to school with for 13, 14 years. They're best friends. They're first generation Americans.
So basically what he's saying is that he's compromised. As I'm listening to him, all I'm hearing is I'm compromised. I'm compromised. I'm compromised. I'm compromised. And also white people who attempt to prop up other minorities in order to divert the conversation away from black people are always staunch WS. They're always staunch WS. That's the reason why they do that. They're so awkward about talking about black people, they have to talk around black people by acting like they know everything about every other minority. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, big facts, Carlton. He's looking out for his cousins. He's a simp. You know what I'm saying?
Some are dreamers. And they say to me, my parents and grandparents weren't what this is.
Shout out to
They weren't coming here
DSB.
this
What's
way.
good with it, bro?
They weren't coming here from even those countries, and they weren't coming here to do what those people were doing, which was to complain about not getting enough from America. And so, Tom, when we look at these caravans and we look at the situation coming through Mexico, not from Mexico, it is the Kamala Harris approach of, go find the root of the problem, that I guess this problem has no roots. Is that the only thing we can do?
Yeah, and you're talking about your people. If you talk to Hispanics, talk to people, blue-collar workers up in Westchester who are out there doing landscaping.
So, and now this guy comes on and said, yeah, talk to the people that are working illegally. Because listen, I'm going to tell you guys something. If Tommy Tuberville can call all foundational Black Americans the people that commit crime in reference to talking about reparations, then when we're talking about these people as far as landscapers, you mean the illegal ones? Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that. I'm telling you, when it comes to this kind of stuff, taking no prisoners, brass knuckles on, going all out. You know what I mean? All out. No prisoners.
Guys who are working as contractors, they've been here for years and years. They don't like what's going on. They see the flood that's happening, and they worked hard to get the jobs that they have. And now they see these migrants coming in. So they have the same attitude about it as America's blue-collar workers do. And I think these cities, the sanctuary cities, I am sick of this act like that.
They don't have the same attitude as blue-collar workers, because the blue-collar American workers are American-born. We're supposed to be here. We built those jobs. We built those industries, and we're entitled to be able to work for them and get first preference, not invaders and outsiders that didn't do anything that want to leech onto what we're doing. I disagree with that 100%. Now, being that this individual right here is a descendant of immigrants, I can see that. And again, that is why most white people are pro-immigration, because they're descendants of immigrants. Again, so when you're listening to the conservative talking points on this, all of these people are compromised. All of this guy here is compromised. He said it. He basically admitted it. This guy's compromised. These people are all compromised. Now, just because of proximity to a certain person, in my opinion, that is not indicative of you being compromised. You know what I'm saying? Your ability to be able to stand on your own is what makes you compromised or not. This motherfucker right here thinks that he's the only person that has Hispanic people in his family. Guess what? You're not. But the fact that you will roll over on everybody else to try to prop them up instead of telling the actual truth, you're showing that you're compromised. You know what I'm saying? You think you're the only person that's got Hispanics in their family? The only person that's got migrants in their family? You the only one? What does that have to do with your slant on the story? Oh, well, what it has to do with is the bullshit that you're saying. That's what's motivating it. You're compromised. Thank you for your admission.
About it is America's blue-collar workers do. And I think these cities, the sanctuary cities, I am sick of this act like that Mayor Adams is putting on, and these other guys. Mayor Adams saying, oh, they got to do something. We're getting flooded here. And then the headline is, oh, Mayor Adams is really mad about the Democrats' policies, and he wants something done. He just wants money, all right? They are sanctuary cities. They invited these people here. Now they want to petition.
Now, see, what he said about Eric Adams, I've been saying that too. Now, the difference between me saying it and him saying it, this dude is just saying it to drag Eric Adams because he's black. I'm saying it because that's actually what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Eric Adams only wants federal intervention to ease the problems and the bad publicity. But again, he's not. None of these people are concerned about border policy. Pay close attention. When all of these Democrat mayors are complaining about this stuff, what they're saying is that they want the migrants to have ease of access to work permits. They're not saying stop the illegal border crossings. No Democrat has said stop the illegal border crossings. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said his wife's sister's husband about to lose his landscaping contracts for cheaper bids. That's why. Facts. Big facts.
The government for money. And this is part of a two-part scam. I say this all the time. The idea, if you have a street scam, you have one guy running the scam, and then you have somebody else who's kind of a phantom operator, and they pretend to be taken in by the scam, and they work together. That's Mayor Adams. He's the silent partner in this. He's going to demand money, and then once they put up the money, once Biden gives him the federal money, they're going to federalize the
Shout
migrant
out to you,
situation.
DSB. I appreciate you,
now
bro.
Have a new source of income. The federal government is giving them money for every migrant that comes, and they're going to have more migrants coming here.
Kennedy, a lot of times Democrats roll their eyes at this, what they call the replacement theory, that they want to bring in people of their politics to eventually have the right to vote, or their kids have the right to vote.
Now, quote unquote, this replacement theory that he's talking about, right? Now, that's what Tucker Carlson was pushing, and that replacement theory was what Peyton Gendron was pushing, right? When he shot up that Tops in Buffalo. Now, we're going to go over an article, and we'll probably go over this article tomorrow. But we're going to go over this article right here. I'm going to show y'all this. Liberal agenda is to replace white people in America. Why do white people think that people are so concerned with them that they want them to be replaced? And why don't white people ever take any credit for the situations that they cause for themselves? What race of people has the majority of the power when it comes to the Democrat Party, if we're going to say that the Democrats are doing this? Again, this is why we always have to ask the questions. Anytime we hear anything that sounds insane, we need all 36 people who are watching to type in giant letters, what is wrong with white people? Because nobody asked that question enough. No one asked that question enough. What is wrong with you? I don't understand all of these places in the United States that had white flight. I think it's hilarious when white people, when there's a black person that moves into a neighborhood and white people start moving out, it should be the other way around. I'll tell you that's exactly that. I'm not trying to be funny, man, but that's exactly how I move at a job. You know what I'm saying? Most of the places that I work at, it's a majority black people. When I see that they clear out some management and then they start selectively hiring a bunch of Karens, man, I cut my time down very significantly because they bring all kinds of just nonsense to the workplace. I'm going to outcompete you on this. First of all, you're not. Then you got to wear my ears out about all your damn family problems. Why are you telling everybody your business? I don't care about your business. I don't care about your story. And then you say, you volunteer a bunch of insane information that nobody asked you about. Nobody cares that your dog got high on meth yesterday. But you want to tell me this shit, and then you expect me to tell you some kind of information about myself. I'm not telling you shit. I could have lived without hearing about your dog getting high. Then they run into the office every 5 seconds. Oh, this person looked at me funny. Nobody looked at you funny. Man, I run anytime when I see that kind of stuff. Or I stop socializing with people at work. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to deal with it. And then people will make their comments. Go ahead and make your comments. I don't want to deal with it. And I got plenty of legit reason. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said, bro, this plastic surgeon I worked with hired some Latinos to do work for him. They took his credit card, bought more tools for obvious other jobs. He was pissed about it today. Well, that's what he gets. Anybody that buys into that, these people are just innately hardworking people, and you trust them with your credit card, you deserve to get your credit card balance zeroed every time you do some stupid stuff like that. I bet you he wouldn't have gave no black person that credit card. So that's what you get. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Like, man, anytime I hear when people be telling these stories about somebody did you wrong, hey, they didn't do you wrong. They did you right. You paid that stupid tax is what your ass just got charged. You got charged the tax of being an idiot. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel sorry for you. Because again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to prop up these other groups of people that haven't went through any of the shit that we've gone through in the United States and somehow want to compare their situation here in the United States to us. All these white people are the minority experts and have never been a minority. People gotta stop letting them get away with that. People need to start intellectually flaming people up, intellectually flaming them up. You know what I'm saying? And hanging them out to dry. Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy said, I was just quiet when he was telling me. I was saying in my head, you dumb motherfucker, just a rich dumbass. Facts. A smart dummy, like Destiny. A smart dummy, just like Destiny. A blue-haired buffoon. You know what I'm saying?
To change elections. They roll their eyes and say that's conspiracy theory. They call it racist. So what is the mindset of keeping the border wide open? How does that make?
See, so again, there you go. So now you got a white dude, right? He just called the Hispanic people his people, which they actually are because they put Caucasian on their job applications, right? So now, again, are we talking about white on white racism or what? Because we're talking about white governors being, I guess, somehow racist against white Spanish-speaking people, which is Hispanics. So somebody make that make sense.
A lot of times Democrats roll their eyes at this, what they call the replacement theory, that they want to bring in people of their politics to eventually have the right to vote, or their kids have the right to vote, to change elections. They roll their eyes and say that's conspiracy theory. They call it racist. So what is the mindset of keeping the border wide open? How does that make our country better? What is the truth?
I mean, there is an idea that you should let people into the country, especially seasonally, to fill jobs that Americans just won't. You know, and people who want to work as hard as people you see in your hometown. That
these people don't want to work. These people are literally demanding handouts, and you have a bunch of white people sitting around like this is Friends and News saying how badly these people want to work. Now, they're not demanding jobs. When they put a microphone in front of their face, they say, I come here to work. But what they're demanding when you put the microphone in front of them is they're demanding handouts. But now, when it comes to people who are actually asking for handouts, it's amazing how these people don't call them handouts. Somebody make that make sense. And real quick, shout out to everybody. We got 38 people watching and we got 32 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 45, that'd be great.
have been there for decades. They're some of the hardest working people in this country. So if we had a better
how are they
system,
the hardest working
those
people in this country? How? Somebody explain that. What is the metric that you're using to show that? What is the metric that she's using to show that Hispanic people are the hardest working people in this country? The only hardworking people in this country are the people whose generations of their family worked here for free for centuries. We're the only hardworking people in this country. Everyone else came here for the cake already baked. You know what I'm saying? What's the metric that these people work so hard? Work hard how? On what? Work hard to illegally cut the damn wires off the fence to get in here? What? Like, what would they work so hard on?
Won't. You know, and people who want to work as hard as people you see in your hometown that have been there for decades, they're some of the hardest working people in this country. So if we had a better immigration system, you could welcome those people in, and if they felt comfortable, then they would leave and go back and provide for their families seasonally or for a couple of years at a time. That's not what is happening. We have such a confusing immigration problem and lack of policy in this country. It is almost impossible.
Okay, I want to ask you guys, what's confusing about this issue that we have? There's nothing. Matter of fact, there is nothing confusing about this immigration issue. The evidence that there's nothing confusing about this immigration issue is because damn near everything that we've assumed would happen has happened, which means that we have a good, thorough understanding of what's going on here. The evidence is the accuracy of the predictions. Would you guys agree? That's the evidence. The evidence is that in many cases on this channel and on BLR 1 and 2, we have accurately predicted the direction of this thing. So we understand it. And according to the people at Fox News and according to the people that watch Fox News, we have the low IQs. So if we have the low IQs and we understand this stuff like it's arithmetic, what is their excuse? There is no excuse. There's either one of two things. They do understand it and they're just lying, or maybe them IQs ain't really where they claim they are. Let me know what you guys think, which one it is.
To immigrate here legally. So, but what is also interesting is it is kind of racist because Republicans go, well, we don't really want to talk to these people because they're invading our country. And Democrats go, they're great because they're going to vote for us. But there are Hispanic voters that are peeling off from this president because a lot of them are from Catholic countries. And a lot of them are much more aligned with traditional Republicans who are trying to outline and create a better coalition.
Well, and also most of their cultures are anti-black. And we all know that anti-blackness is one of the fundamental pillars of American and honestly worldwide conservatism. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
And their party. So they've been essentially ignored by everybody. And while Kamala Harris says that she's working on those root causes, the problem is absolutely metastasized on her watch. So whatever the root causes were 2 years ago, this whole new thing, whatever they're doing, it is not working. And shame on them because it hurts people in these border towns. It hurts people in these sanctuary cities. It hurts homeless veterans who can't get the care that they need because resources from the federal government are going to people like the first guy we saw in the video who is demanding something. I'm sorry, but there is an aspect of it that I really have an issue with, and it has gotten worse under this administration.
Listen, if you have respect for hard work, taking care of your family and the society around you, I really don't care what language you speak, what color your skin is, where you're from. I want you around. I really do, because there's a lot of Americans that don't have that.
That's not true. When he's saying that he wants you around, what he's saying is he'll have you around to work for him. But that's about it. And ain't nobody trying to work for you. Carl just says she look like a white Cynthia G. Well, you know, those feminists, you know what I'm saying? They were the OGs, you know what I'm saying? And then they spreaded that disease like they're so good at doing to everybody else.
Anymore, but we need to make a way to get them here legally.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
So he just said, so again, I want you guys to pay very close attention. He said we need to find a way to get them there legally. So again, this is a bipartisan effort. They're all the same. They're all the same because that's what the Democrats want, is to get them here legally. Again, nobody's directly attacking the border issue.
Because there's a lot of Americans that don't have that anymore, but we need to make a way to get them here legally.
We need to get them here legally. You guys heard it right there. So Fox News is pro-immigration. You know what I'm saying? They're not really pro improving the border situations. Them glasses that old girl had on were a bit much. They were damn near goggles, for real. Now, and the thing that's funny is, like, I like the big glasses like that. You know what I'm saying? But them bad boys was ridiculous, pink, and huge.
Holding talks yesterday to discuss how to slow the record pace of illegal crossings at the southern border. Mexican President Obrador telling Antony Blinken and Alejandro Mayorkas that migration will, quote, intensify as a massive migrant caravan of thousands heads towards our border, while Congress remains no closer to a deal on immigration reform. Meanwhile, Customs and Border Protection reporting the number of Chinese nationals illegally entering the United States just hit a new record high with over 4,700 encounters for November.
Now, here go my question. What do y'all think that these Chinese nationals are doing at the border? And shout out to Robb from Denver. Robb from Denver said the lady with the glasses on Fox News is Kennedy. She was an MTV VJ in the 90s and said Michael Jordan tried to sleep with her. I'm not trying to be funny, but she seemed like that type. I didn't want to say nothing, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I didn't know who she was or I don't know nothing, but I was just looking like, interesting. You know what I'm saying? With the with the big plastic frame glasses and the hoop earrings. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? That confirms it.
Alone. Joining me now is Texas Congressman Keith Self. He's a member of the House Veterans Affairs and Foreign Affairs Committees. He's also an Army Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel and retired. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cheryl. Good to be with you.
So, especially from your vantage point as a congressman serving the state of Texas, do you believe that this meeting with Mayorkas and Blinken and the president of Mexico is going to lead to any meaningful change at the southern border?
Absolutely not. And you brought up the issue that Congress is wrestling with. How do we change the behavior of the Biden administration? They need to enforce the laws on the books. They need to do their job.
They're not going to change the behavior of the Biden administration. The only way to change the behavior of the Biden administration is to eliminate the Biden administration. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do that until the 2024 election. As we can see, living during a border crisis and being the president during the border crisis it has not been enough to make Joe Biden act. If that's not enough to make Joe Biden act, I honestly couldn't tell you what will, other than him once he's out of office. That's literally the only thing that I can possibly think of that would make him change his behavior. There's nothing that's going to change his behavior. What's going to change his behavior? Yeah, we actually talked about that. That actually took place in Cincinnati, the former pretty boy. Yep. The former pretty boy asked, did you hear about that one from Nicaragua that raped that woman and said he was possessed with demons? Yep. Yeah, that's facts. That's big facts. And anytime you guys see one of these crimes, make sure you tag me in it. Make sure you drop it in the Discord. Shoot it to me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. If you're not subscribed to my Twitter, Facebook, Discord, make sure y'all do that.
Or Mayorkas needs to resign.
All right. Well, I want to bring in Tiana Lodesher. We've already been talking about the border this morning. Tiana, go ahead.
We know that a central contention of these border negotiations is not just about the money, but the asylum policy that lets people come in with bogus claims and stay here for multiple years without a court date. But I do want to point out, I saw that you were tweeting about the Border Patrol backlog, saying that agents in Texas are outnumbered 200-1. Joe Biden has asked for about $14 billion in aid for the border and his Ukraine funding for border deal that his administration is currently stonewalling. Is $14 billion even enough to deal with this agent backlog, or is it more the policies of what the agents are allowed to do that is currently hamstringing our ability to enforce a secure border?
It is neither money nor policy nor new laws. It is simply the Biden administration refusal to obey the laws, to enforce the laws, to execute the laws that they swore to uphold. This is not a matter of money. It's not a matter of policy. This is a matter of them doing their job, period. The border is now totally uncontrolled. When you talk to people coming across the border, reporters do it all the time. They don't talk about asylum anymore.
Now, do you guys agree with him that the border is totally uncontrolled? If y'all agree with him that the border is totally uncontrolled, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree and think that the border is controlled, then give me a thumbs down. Or wait a minute. If y'all think that the border is uncontrolled, give me a thumbs down. If you all think that the border is controlled, give me a thumbs up. Me personally, I gotta agree with this dude. I think that the border is completely uncontrolled. We've seen too much footage for anything other than that to be true. You know what I'm saying? We've seen them cutting the fence. We've seen them sawing it open. We've seen them just letting droves of people in unchecked, unchallenged. The situation is just completely ridiculous out here. And I got to agree with Ricky 12. Shout out to Ricky 12. Ricky 12 says, can't have a country if you don't have a border. I agree. You know what I'm saying? I agree. So what that tells you is that they're basically trying to destabilize the country by keeping these policies in place and not addressing any of this stuff.
They simply talk about, we want jobs in America. They're not even claiming asylum.
All right. You know, Secretary Blinken, let's stay with him because he is announcing that the United States is going to provide $250 million in weapons and equipment for Ukraine. It's its final package for the year. Congressman, I want to get your reaction to all of this because it seems like this fight over not just the Ukrainian funding, but also the overall funding package, the $106 billion package that the president is asking for. It seems that we are very, very far apart on any deal being made in Washington when you all come back from the recess.
Absolutely. I will tell you, first of all, this is a presidential drawdown authority. If the reports are correct, which means he is drawing down out of our stocks, taking from our military to send to Ukraine. And frankly, our defense industrial base cannot keep up with this. So this is, it's real simple. Secure the southern border, and we will talk about money for Ukraine. But I believe, and I will go out on a limb and say that I believe that this will only pass with Democrat votes and some Republicans that will refuse to hold the line. So this is a dangerous.
And also, guys, on the main channel, I'm gonna be starting back covering Ukraine and Russia because there's been some events that have taken place that I think are noteworthy, and they're also causing a lot of money to be extracted from the United States government, and it's not really being talked about. So I'm gonna be doing that. And in case you haven't seen any of the Ukraine-Russia content that I've made, on the cards that come up, if you watch the streams on the replay, I'll leave the links to the older content so that you're able to find it very easily while you're watching those live streams.
It's time for our border. It's no longer an invasion. This is now a tsunami coming across our southern border. We must secure the southern border. And Army Mayorkas, again, needs to resign.
But where are you and your colleagues right now with regards to the Ukraine funding? Because, you know, there's been a lot of pushback that we have just, you know, we can't keep this open spigot of money flowing to Ukraine, you know, a year now. We were coming up on the 2-year anniversary in February of the Ukraine-Russia war.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, bro. I did a video on that on BLR2. Yep. Rob, they just bombed Iraq on Christmas Day, fam. Did you see that? Yeah. This geopolitical international stuff is getting out of control. They better get a president in here that has a backbone, because with all of this insanity going on, if another 4 years of Biden, if you ask me, is going to cause unrepairable damage to the United States. The United States already damaged, but I think that if they get 8 years of a strong president, that something can be salvaged. But another 4 years, another 8 years of a weak ass Democrat, the rest of the world is just going to walk right over us, if you ask me, starting with Russia and China.
There's been some reports that money has not been spent as it should have been by Ukrainian officials. There's that. And then obviously we've got the war in the Middle East as well now between Hamas and Israel. So, you know, where should the priorities be? And where do you stand on that Ukraine funding specifically?
Listen, I will go back to Speaker Johnson. He has been very clear that unless we get a change in behavior on the southern border, we start executing the laws of the United States, we will not take up the Ukraine funding.
Okay.
So I trust Speaker Johnson to hold to his word. I encourage him to do so because we must secure the southern border. So the priority for me is the southern border. It's our own border before we discuss the Ukrainian border.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I do want to ask you.
Now, to me, what he just said, that's literally, to me, that's common sense. If you guys agree that that's common sense, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree and don't think that that's common sense, then give me a thumbs down and let me know why. To me, it's just it's outlandish, it's insane, and it's offensive that the United States isn't even considering dealing with domestic issues before it takes domestic taxpayer dollars and sends them overseas. It is insane and it's offensive.
About, let's stay with what's happening overseas, because officials have confirmed there's now been 106 attacks against U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria since October 17, as U.S. forces have now shot down 17 Houthi missiles and drones in the Red Sea. This is attacks on our troops. And then Iran and Hamas are arguing now over who's going to take credit for the October 7th attack on Israel. And I want to pick up on that second question, because what I think is key here is Iran publicly taking responsibility for October 7th. Doesn't that change the whole conversation about how the United States should be dealing with Iran?
No, it really doesn't. We've known Iran was behind Hamas. It's behind the Houthis. It's behind the attacks in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. This is a dangerous time, and this is because of the weakness of the Biden administration overseas, starting with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. We continue to see it.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you all feel that we had this amount of military aggression against us when Trump was president? I don't recall this amount of attacks and this amount of other countries challenging us when Trump was the president. I honestly don't. Do you guys?
In fact, our allies, not even many of our allies, are joining Operation Prosperity Guardian, which is the operation they're trying to do in the Gulf to protect commercial shipping. Shipping companies are going all the way around Africa because of the danger in the Gulf and the Red Sea. Yeah. No, this is continuing weakness in the Biden administration. We're seeing the results of it. It continues to just engulf the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that obviously this is something that we've been following over the holidays, is that the change in the shipping route, that is routes it's going to affect everything, not just oil prices. Congressman Keith Sell, Congressman, thank you for being here.
So there's that, ladies and gentlemen. So we got some more content. All right. We definitely got some more content to show y'all, because this undocumented situation is not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But I am, because that's the end of the stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that bell icon twice. Make sure that you are subscribed to my backup channels. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to my other social media. You guys can do that by hitting the links that are on the home page. We're going to be back with another stream tomorrow night. We're going to talk about some interesting specialty topics like migrants begging in the Brooklyn neighborhoods, that liberal agenda to replace white people. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your boy Greg Abbott, and we're going to talk about historic immigration wave in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. How many people knew about that? If y'all knew about that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all did not know about that, give me a thumbs down. We're getting close to 500 subscribers, guys. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do that. Help us get there. You know what I'm saying? And as always, ladies and gentlemen,